From ancient times, souls of our ancestors roaming here. Humble streams of melting glaciers from the Himalayas turns into mighty freshwater system of Ganges, Brahmaputra and Meghna down 1,000 miles. As the rivers reach the sea, they slow down to release yearly 2,000 million tons of sediments, form the biggest delta in South Asia, Bangladesh. World's largest mangrove forest, the Sundarbans, and its coast acts as the savior of Great Delta during extreme cyclone and storm surges. A country with 80% floodplain, terraces and hills. An economy dependent on agriculture, garments, coal, gas, fertile land and huge population. Where life is celebrated with festivity and struggle tuned with diversified culture, rituals, colors, land and water. Although often tormented by erratic torrent and waves. With the changes in the global climate, everything is being exposed to frequent nightmares. 2009, Shatarkali, Khulna. Angry Pashu River running over the coastal earthen wall that used to prevent the river from flooding adjoining farms and villages. We are born to see high tides, but now watching a monster slowly unfolding, speechless. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. When this happens at the edge, 1,000 miles from here, Utsa being eliminated from the ancient forest. Continuous chimneys fuming, burning fossil fuel to profit more, resulting warmer earth. Rapidly melting the ice in the Arctic, glaciers at the mountains. With the rising rivers and the seas, the long vigil has begun here.
Extreme flood event has happened in 2004 and 2007. Within 3 years, which was supposed to happen once in 100 years. So the frequency of these storms are going to increase, intensities are going to increase.
Can we try to keep this innocent laugh last long? This global concern is uniquely being translated into action by adopting various policy and legislative framework by the government of Bangladesh. Strategies includes preparing future citizens through lessons in the national curriculum at primary and secondary level, by mainstreaming into professional courses in universities and research institutes. Also by enabling the local level stakeholders to empower the communities and social mobilization, keeping community at the center of all movement. Summer in Delta. In northern Bangladesh, rainfall usually delayed for 2 months. Frontier workers are off to facilitate a nationwide process of community risk assessment and development of risk reduction action plan. Under overall supervision and partnering with local level disaster management committee, local government, NGOs, volunteers and citizens are developing action plans with sustainable solutions. The process enabling the stakeholders to implement local level risk reduction interventions all over the country, ensuring involvement of various administrative unity from lowest to the top tier. Building infrastructure and promoting food security for ensuring the resilience of communities has been very effective strategy. Government has been continuing various long-term and short-term employment generation program. Re-excavation of canals has been proved a very good investment for preservation of surface and rainwater and to drain out salt water during flood. Within the umbrella program of disaster risk reduction, more new earthen walls and killers are now being built at river and seasides to prevent overflows and to give shelter for the people and livestock. The Labour March goes on in Great Delta. Through the Local Disaster Risk Reduction Fund, thousands of community risk reduction and livelihood projects are being implemented, benefiting millions of people living within the vulnerable zones. By generation, local wisdom and traditional knowledge are being utilized, like raising the heights of mud plinths and homesteads to fight flood and secure protection from hazards. By connecting such shelter schools, clinics, villages, we are building long, high embankment calm roads in the coastal areas. Hopefully, when needed, this embankment will take people to a safe place. To regain livelihoods destroyed by Cyclone Isla, people are shifting to their newly built houses. Disaster and climate-resilient habitat built at Shotarkali on pilot basis by CDMP. 58 houses for ill-fed, ill-nourished Janara and other families of our village rehabilitated to the habitat. Rests will be built in areas with major hazards of drought, flood, flash flood and cyclone.
আমরা এখানে একটা মিষ্টি পানি রাখার পুকুর, দুইটা গোসলের পুকুর তৈরি করেছি। সাইক্লোন সেন্টার আমরা অফ দ্য লেভেল থেকে আরো 2 ফুট উঁচু করার সিদ্ধান্ত নিয়েছি।
At Barrage track, groundwater has dropped from 42 feet down to 94 feet. Bangladesh drew the spotlight as one of the countries making progress in ensuring equity for women. Changing climate had taken away every resources that we depend on, making difficult carrying out their gender roles, such as collection of fresh water, a key responsibility that women has to bear. In some places, community tube well is the only source for safe water. In the south, marching salinity frontier, and in the north, long drought. In absence of tube well, we use community-based pond sand filters.
এই পুকুরের পানিটা আমরা খাই, পাইপ দিয়ে হাউজের ভিতরে যায়, পানি থেকে আরেক হাউজে যায়, ওখান থেকে নল দিয়ে আমরা খাই।
We have put science and people's tenacity together. Specific interventions such as installation of solar-powered deep tube oil with pipe for distribution networks has resulted hopes at the experiment phase. Despite recent macroeconomic achievement, poverty is still pervasive and endemic, so putting more adaptable varieties for the worn-out fields has become #1 priority. We began planting short-duration pulses and oil seeds to hold the nourishment and water in the ground, planting roots for the washed-away coast sites, trees for the new forest preserves. Rain, at last. The relentless power of the water continually changing. Rising rivers worries the water monitors in the field. Their data goes to water engineers, toiling with scientists developing a model for early warning system for flood hazards. Heavy rainfall unleashes the monsters. Raised riverbeds fail to contain the devastating flow, crops drowned in streams. Some rivers break in, grabbing lands occupied by great life species, ourselves. Battle begins with a wild flow. Farmers are adapting to grow vegetables on floating garden and water-tolerant rice. Autumn approaching. As rivers fail to drain out, water retains in the crop fields for 5 to 6 months in the southwest area. It gradually turns salty as giant dam at Farakka withdraws water flows in the Ganges. Salinity affects the Sundarban drastically, including dwarfing and top dying of Sundari trees, the finest timber of the forest. As Gazeldoba controls the flow of Tista, in the northern tract, production suffers massively. As winter crawls in, farmers are adapting to grow salt-tolerant rabi crops. In recent years, extreme cold wave has been hitting the country. The waves of changing climate is shifting everything in life, making progress towards attainment of MDGs further challenging. Over the Bay of Bengal, winter winds arrive with its yearly circulation with signs of a storm. The National Disaster Management Information Center, equipped with nationwide high and telecommunication link with all district headquarters and high-risk local administrative setup, fax, SMS, mobile-based interactive voice response, gateway, GIS unit, and redundant data connectivity to assist the government with all necessary information during normal time, warning and activation, emergency response, relief and recovery. Winter 2007, Buleshwar River Bank, Bangladesh. The Army, the Navy, the Red Crescent and thousands of local trained volunteers formed the backbone of Cyclone Preparedness Program, which was rehabilitated by the government of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in 1973. The Cyclone Preparedness Program has highly accelerated the disaster response capacity of the nation. The heart of our success is rooted into a long history of self-confidence and innovation. We plan with our people. We go forward by ensuring our household well-being. We try to increase our social capital. We know we got to reach everyone at risk.
And made landfall across southern coast from Cox's Bazar in east toward the Shatkhila districts.
Anything that stood was smashed. The resilience of ecosystems of Sundarbans was stressed and wiped out those who failed to survive. Millions walk away from the edge to the center. Survival, though more challenging due to lack of basic supports for livelihoods, threat of waterlogging and earthquakes.
Chittagong, this year we had landslide. Trigger for the landslide was the heavy rainfall. This thing has happened due to climate change. Take the SEP prediction. The sea would come from the present coastline to somewhere near Chandpur, Shariatpur, Jasor. 20-30 million people are living there. And that area would become saline. Even if we have the dike system, there will be internal drainage congestion because the water that falls inside the polder, it will be difficult to pump them out.
Clouds are and will be forming on the horizon. Storms will come. But as the most determined, insightful and resilient nation, Bangladesh will always overwhelm all the challenges. Together with our strength, we are asking you to join us, showing the Bangladesh as a land of resilience.